Hello, can you tell us a bit about yourself, your family, your current stage in life, and what financial independence means to you personally?
You can call me Jay Z, not my real name. I'm in my late 30s, married with 3 kids, and living in an HDB flat. And no, I wouldn't upgrade to a condo even if I could. We own a car because of family needs, but otherwise, I'm perfectly happy with public transport. Career wise, I would say I'm at my peak now, hopefully with another decade to go. To me, financial independence means having the ability to resign tomorrow without worrying about money. It's not that I want to quit, I actually enjoy my job, my company's leadership team, and the people I manage. I look forward to each week's challenges and feel a sense of accomplishment in removing obstacles for my team. I don't plan to downgrade my lifestyle when I reach financial independence, so lean fire or barista fire isn't my goal. At the same time, I'm not aiming for chubby fire either.
At your peak, enjoying work while being financially independent sounds paradoxical. What does staying in the game give that walking away never could?
Isn't this the perfect combination many yearn for? Earning good income and doing something that you love? In fact, I'm not sure if I can get by with just one of which. The reason many, including myself in the past, are chasing financial independence is the frustration of needing to work for something they don't like or have no motivation. Other than earning for a living, work keeps my mind sharp. It brings me the identity and ability to make impact to people and industries. The human connection and shared grind aren't easily replicated outside of work due to lack of common topics. This is, in fact, one of my biggest fears to live a life with little friends whom I can connect to. Money may bring freedom, but it rarely buys meaning. It may seem to be a first world problem. But what if I have too much freedom but not enough purpose? Staying in the arena means my effort matters. People count on me to make things happen, and my contribution get recognized. Of course, I am not delusional and naively assume that I will be gainfully employed doing things I love forever. It will come to a time that I am deemed expensive, my value diminish when I age, and someone smarter will take over. Therefore, it is still critical for me to acquire financial independence ASAP and gradually find a side project, chart hustle that I love, do what you are doing deeply resonate, such that when the time comes, I am ready. In the past 2 to 3 years, I am extending the financial independence invitation to my colleagues so that they are ready when time comes. I mean, retrenchment or layoff if that's not clear enough.
That by itself is a meaningful thing to do. Choosing not to pursue lean fire or chubby fire suggests a balance between comfort and restraint. How is that balance defined in your own terms?
This statement comes from the wish that we are already living slightly below our means now, and I have no intention to further downgrade our lifestyle during the financial independence journey. I've seen many put the financial independence goal above their desired lifestyle, which to me is not sustainable. It also brings anxiety, especially during market downturn, that one may need to re-enter a part-time/slash full-time job. This defeats the purpose of FIRE. Not to mention that the longer you are out of the workforce, the less value you can bring back to corporate, and the weaker your bargaining power in salary negotiation. On the other hand, I also do not want to go overboard and grind past the 50s. Let's just say that I define my financial independence age to be no later than 50 plus or minus 1 to 2 years. This means there are some sacrifices to be made. I'm not going to prepare 300,000 each for my kids' overseas university fund. They won't have their HDB down payment paid or their luxurious wedding banquet sponsored. They will, however, have the peace of mind that they don't ever need to pay a single cent to fund our retirement, no pressure in giving ang pao during Chinese New Year, or worry about our medical fee when we are aged. Hopefully, I can also influence them to be seasoned investors before their 20s. This is the fine balance that I will devote the next 8 to 10 years of my time to, before financial independence.
For yourself, what first got you interested into investing and building wealth in your early 20s? Was there a moment, a person, or a fear that sparked it?
It all started with a best friend who introduced me to Genting Singapore. A group of us pooled together a few $100s each, and he bought shares under his name. When the price crashed to 85 cents, he was blamed and even had to use his own money to pay back those who panicked. But for the few of us who held on, we eventually cashed out at around $1.50. That same friend also introduced me to OCBC's brokerage, where I opened my first account and began investing in REITs.
You have had hands-on experiences with REITs, forex, and triple money. What drew you to each of those at a time?
I started with REITs, inspired by AK71, a well-known Singapore REITs blogger. It felt amazing to collect a few $100s in dividends every few months, like hitting 4D multiple times a year. That joy lasted 3 to 5 years until I ran into bad picks like Sabana REITs. where I lost about $15,000. Rights issues also diluted my holdings, and over time I drifted away from REITs. Greed then took over. I paid $3,800 for a forex course more than a decade ago and poured another $5,000 to $6,000 into trading. Within 1 to 2 years, it was all gone. I lost sleep, battled anxiety, and realized I couldn't handle trading well. I was basically gambling, trading without any stop loss. In 2017, I dived into crypto mining. I bought my first 6XRT X1060 rig on Carousel for $3,500, and at the peak, I had 6 rigs running them in my study, turning the room into a sauna. My electricity bill even crossed $1,000. It was fun and painful. Looking back, if I'd simply kept the Ethereum I mined, I'd be a few $100,000 richer today.
Building, taking, and maintaining rigs requires hands-on effort. Yet the process feel more like an experiment, a business, or just a gamble dressed up as tech.
Back then, Ethereum is still mineable until its transition into proof of stake in 2022, and it was the hottest coins within the SG Crypto miner group. A mining rig basically consists of few components, with GPU being the heart of a rig. More GPU equals more hash rate equals more earnings. It is not uncommon to find 6 to 12 GPU installed within a rig. Next, you need a motherboard with enough PCIe slots to accommodate as many GPUs as possible. There were even custom-built motherboards designed by the manufacturer specifically for crypto mining. CPU, PSU, SSD, PCIe risers, fans for cooling, and mining frame are the remaining hardware to complete the build. Every 50 Singapore dollars saved in hardware is 50 Singapore dollars profits for miner. We often shared good deals in Carousel with each others via the miner Telegram group. Next, constant tweaking of the software so that you run at optimized power draw, minimum cost, and maximum hash rate, maximum profits, are the life of a miner. I got to learn building a mining rig from scratch, overclocking NVIDIA or AMD GPU to balance between hash rate and uptime, as well as commercial aspects such as negotiating with GPU sellers for greater deal, trading GPU with other crypto miners in Singapore, rent a space and mining farm when the heat created became unbearable. It is intriguing to venture into crypto mining, even though Ethereum mining eventually collapsed and the crypto space entered into the winter season by late 2018. The experience taught me a lot, especially in enduring the rise and fall of crypto coin prices for an extended period of time. Truth is, you incur high costs to keep the mining going, 1 to 2,000 Singapore dollars a month, depending on the size of the mining rigs, excluding the hardware cost, which in my case cost about 10,000 to 15,000 Singapore dollars. Profits were paid in crypto coins, which I should really keep for long-term gain and not sell it to cover your cost. I pulled the trigger to sell my remaining 3 rigs at a third of the hardware cost after many months of crypto winter in end of 2018. It is daunting to spend 800 to 1,000 Singapore dollars in electricity bills and getting only 100 to 200 Singapore dollars worth of coins back. Of course, hindsight is 2020. Those coins are now worth 20 times. Should I still keep them now? Compared to NFT hype in 2021 to 2022, which is more speculative mania, I felt that crypto mining requires more hard works and proper business planning. It's like running a small factory, not a slot machine. You're converting electricity plus hardware depreciation into tokens, which you can then hold or sell. Still risky as token prices can crash, but it demands planning and operational execution.
After the setbacks like Savannah REITs, forex, and crypto, what do you learn about yourself as an investor, and what made you decide to walk away from those strategies?
I finally understood my true risk appetite. I'm not cut out for trading. I hate realizing losses. I also realized dividend investing came with too much opportunity cost at my age, especially since I wasn't disciplined about reinvesting dividends. As you lived through the crypto boom and bust, even seeing people lose millions, only the ones who HODL or hold on for dear life will win. Most investors, myself included in the early days, weren't mentally prepared for 20% daily drops or 2 to 3 years of crypto winter. FTX's collapse and Luna's guaranteed 20% yield taught me that if something looks too good to be true, it usually is. These days, I allocate 10 to 20% of my portfolio to blue chip crypto and haven't sold a coin in 3 years. I call crypto my itchy hands asset, something I can't resist but keep contained. I've reshaped my investment approach based on past lessons, focusing on long-term sustainable gains. I now see volatility as temporary rather than permanent loss, provided the right investment vehicle is chosen. While realizing losses still stings, as it does for any investor, Having a solid safety net in CPF and ETF removes the anxiety, allowing me to take calculated high-risk bets with greater comfort and confidence. Emotional detachment is now one of my greatest strengths in financial independence journey, and I am happy to share the approach with the wider community. These days, even when the market drops 2 to 3% in a day, and I see 5-digit losses on paper, like during the April 2025 tariff-driven sell-off, I don't flinch. I've come to recognize those swings for what they are: noise that comes and goes. The difference is that I now anchor myself in the bigger picture, knowing that 90 to 95% of my portfolio is built on businesses with solid fundamentals and strong financial backing gives me the patience to ride out the storm. Instead of feeling like I'm failing, I see these drawdowns as a natural part of the investing journey. And that shift in perspective has freed me from the emotional roller coaster I used to live on.
When you shift towards a long-term diversified approach, what changed in your mindset?
Around 2018 to 2019, I moved into US growth stocks and later global ETF. COVID was my first real market crash. I doubled down early, though I burned through my cash too quickly. Since then, I've been dollar cost averaging into IWDA every month.
How do you balance higher conviction bets like certain growth stocks with the stability of broad market exposure?
I really like the kueh lapis investing analogy introduced by Mr. Lu, founder of 1M65. The concept is that you build a solid foundation safety net with CPF, which I maxed out in my mid-30s through OA to SA transfers, SA or MA top-ups for tax relief. This gives me confidence to take higher risks elsewhere. My layers go like this: CPF, my safety net, and bond layer. Globally diversified ETF via cash, SRS, and OA. Stock picking. Crypto, my itchy hands layer. For allocation, I use Joshua, as known as Shiny Things 110 minus age formula for stock versus bond split. Joshua is a legendary ETF investor who gained fame on Hardware Zone and his book Rich by Retirement. How Singaporeans Can Invest Smart and Retire Wealthy is a must-read for anyone serious about investing.
As you have optimized tools like CPF and SRS, what role do local financial structures play in your overall plan?
I am a strong believer in CPF and SRS, especially for people in their career peak. Done right, they reduce your taxes while boosting retirement savings. I know CPF isn't perfect, the removal of the SA Shield was painful, but compared to Malaysia's EPF, where you can withdraw everything at 55, I think CPF's forced savings are better suited for today's world, especially with scams everywhere. I'm also pleasantly surprised that about 40% to 50% of my colleagues I talk to also believe in CPF.
You just starting investment portfolios for kids using Appa money and your contributions. How did that idea come about?
We had been saving their ang pao money in bank accounts. One day it struck me, why let that money sit idle and get eaten by inflation when they have decades of runway ahead? When I first shared the idea on Reddit, some criticized me for risking money that wasn't mine. Fair point. So I structured it so that I personally guarantee their capital. That way, my kids take no risk but enjoy compounding gains.
By guaranteeing their capital, you are removing downside risk. What are you hoping to gain your money? Confidence, awareness, habits.
My original financial independence plan didn't include leaving a legacy, but over time I realized many parents prepare tertiary funds or safety nets for their kids. I'm not keen on giving them a huge jumpstart. I grew up humble, but I do want to ensure they'll never worry about our retirement. This is probably the biggest gift parents can leave for their kids.
How do you then prevent that safety net from shaping expectation that life always comes with guarantees?
Good question. My plan is to keep this safety net entirely to myself until the right time comes. That moment won't be during their teenage years or even when they first enter the workforce. I want them to face the same struggles, doubts, and lessons that shaped me. Realistically, I see the disclosure happening when they've gained a few years of working experience, maybe approaching their 30s or preparing to settle down with a partner. By then, they'll have built enough resilience to understand that money is a tool, not a crutch. There's also a clear boundary. If they show signs of destructive habits, gambling, substance abuse, or anything where money would only deepen the problem, then they may never know about this portfolio. A lifeline given too early or to the wrong mindset isn't a lifeline at all. It's enabling. This thinking fuels my own drive toward FIRE as early as I can manage. Beyond financial security, I want the freedom to spend more time with them and my partner, guiding them through values and principles before those beliefs become fixed. To me, that influence is just as important as the inheritance itself.
Talking about influence, how do you talk to them or plan to talk to them about money and investing as they grow older?
Whenever they ask for something, I use it as a teaching moment. I'm careful not to make them obsessed with money, but I do want them to understand money habits early. Saving first, spending thoughtfully, and recognizing the difference between wants and needs. Those small, everyday conversations feel more powerful than any lecture. Once they finish primary school, I'll slowly nudge them toward investing.
Planting the idea of investing early can be empowering, but also obsessive. How is that kind of line managed in a way lessons are shared?
It's a learning journey for me as well, shaping the right mindset for my kids. I've observed that children often learn by mimicking our actions, so modeling the right behavior is crucial. Having gone through my own share of mistakes and failed investments early in life, I feel confident guiding my kids, first in mindset, then gradually introducing them to the world of equities, with moderate and higher risk reward opportunities. For the first few years, I plan to hold their hands, reviewing decisions and discussing lessons before they commit their own money, careful not to take the steering wheel entirely. When mistakes inevitably happen, we tackle them together, minimize losses, and develop mitigation plans as a team. Fortunately, I'm not pioneering this path alone. I've learned from people like Mr. Lu 1M65 and Adam Koo, who have successfully taught their children the importance of personal financial planning. Their examples show that this process is as much about character building as it is about money. My goal isn't to create mini investors overnight, but to give my children a safe environment to experience risk, responsibility, and decision making under guidance. Over time, they'll internalize lessons like patience, resilience, and the long term value of compounding, lessons I had to learn the hard way. The key is gradual exposure and open dialogue. We can begin with low stakes examples, a savings goal, or a small investment, and reflect together on outcomes. As their understanding grows, the stakes can increase, and my role evolves from teacher to coach, then to a distant safety net, giving them independence while ensuring support is available. These are all my thought processes. How it works out in reality remains my homework. Staying flexible, learning alongside them, and adjusting as needed will be just as important as any plan I lay out today.
Your final number is $4 million by 50. As you get closer, how do you stay focused without becoming overly anxious about the number?
Honestly, I can't resist running fire calculators every now and then. I've downloaded so many templates I've lost count. But since the process actually makes me happy, I just accept it as part of the journey.
Running fire calculators spark joy. Does the happiness come from the math itself, from a sense of control, or from glimpse of a freer future?
It's that feeling of so close, yet not quite there, that keeps me moving forward. Sometimes it manifests as thinking about how to F a year earlier, how to earn an extra 50,000 in 6 months. The list never seems to end. When it becomes overwhelming, I step back from the calculations for a few weeks or months, returning only when my emotional state is more balanced. Doing this comes naturally now. After more than a decade of planning, I've built enough buffers into my projections that things will likely turn out better than expected. Even if they don't, I'm comfortable working 1 or 2 more years. There's always light at the end of the tunnel. The calculations themselves, combined with regular self evaluation, give me confidence that I'm moving in the right direction, even in a worst case scenario. Admittedly, the process can feel boring or lonely at times. To counter that, I've immersed myself in Reddit forums, offering advice or constructive criticism to those just starting their financial journeys. Engaging with others not only helps them, but also reinforces my own discipline and perspective along the way.
Reaching the 4 million target one day and seeing markets half the next, would financial independence keep you intact?
As I've shared, I've built several buffers into my FIRE planning to help cushion against short term market volatility. I'm comfortable keeping my expenses minimal and even skipping some planned vacations during early retirement if needed to ride out a bear market. That said, I'm quite confident that any sacrifice would be minor, even in a worst case scenario. Some of these buffers include my SRS savings, withdrawable at 62, excess OA funds available after 55, and CPF Life, payable at 65 or 70. On top of that, I have a crypto portfolio that isn't factored into my FIRE calculations, a wild card that could offset unexpected downturns during retirement. If nothing dramatic happens, it could instead serve as a meaningful inheritance for my kids. I haven't planned to leave them anything beyond the gift of healthy, engaged parents. But if this extra asset remains untouched, it could be a nice bonus.
You said your dream isn't to retire and do nothing, but to travel and work on passion projects. Can you paint a picture of what that life looks like?
Spending 2 to 3 months a year traveling with my wife and or kids, more mornings and evenings with family, working on passion projects like sharing my financial journey. The tricky part is that strangers might assume I have an agenda, even if I share knowledge for free. It's also sad seeing friends and colleagues who have no retirement plan, assuming they'll figure it out in their 50s.
Many people want to stop working by 55 but have no plan. Why do you think that gap between desire and action is so common, and how do we bridge it?
Part of it is personality. I'm an ISTJ. I need structure and detailed planning. But many of my colleagues are ENFP/INFP, and they can't stand rigid plans. On top of that, personal finance in Singapore has been polluted by insurance agents disguised as financial advisors. Many people shut down when the topic comes up. That said, the rise of the 1M65 movement gives me hope. People are slowly realizing the importance of proper planning. If Singapore had a dedicated FI movement, more people would benefit.
Yes, that's the reason why I set up the committee. Watching colleagues delay planning until their 50s must feel risky. Yet, is there part of you that envies their carefree stance?
Not at all. In deeper conversations with colleagues I care about, I've realized that their delay in planning is often due to a lack of financial education or the illusion that they have plenty of time to build wealth, time that realistically they don't. Some rely solely on bank relationship managers or insurance agents, paying high fees while assuming their retirement planning is being handled by professionals. It's disheartening because they're often funding someone else's retirement, not their own. I consider myself very fortunate to have been exposed to investing in my early 20s. Some colleagues only began investing in their 40s, often after we've had conversations about it. Unfortunately, I have to point out that for them, the earliest realistic retirement age is probably 60 or 65, and that assumes they maintain above average income until then without being laid off or retrenched. With AI and automation increasingly replacing traditional roles, it's almost certain that at least part of their positions will become redundant in the coming years. Seeing this makes me even more grateful for the head start I had and reinforces the importance of taking ownership of one's financial future early.
If your journey were a book, what would the title be? And what's the one sentence you would want readers to take away from it?
I've always wanted to read Die with Zero, but never found the time. If I had to leave readers with one line, it would be this: true wealth is not what remains after you're gone, but the memories, growth, and impact you create while alive, and you can only achieve this once. You free yourself from the worry of money.